How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the Blue Shifting and welcome back to Muv-Luv Monday, where we are going through yet again episode 2 of The Day After. Now, this is going to be an intense one, I think, because Hibiki kind of, like, Miyono and Hibiki are both kind of on parallel tracks, essentially, because it turns out Hibiki's come to realize that he's also turning away from what's really bothering him. He keeps suppressing it and pushing it down. And he's been advising Miyono to, like, face her fears head on and to, like, challenge herself in her, like, position. And he's realized, I can't really be recommending that without doing it myself. And so he's taking the interesting approach against what Yuzuka wanted. Yuzuka wants him to put everything in the past. She's terrified that the burden is going to break him. She's saying, if you're suppressing it, it's for a good reason. You shouldn't have to remember. And he's saying, no, look, I need to know. And if this breaks me, I need to, like, confront it and then accept that. You know, like, maybe he'll take the PR route if this makes it so that he feels like he can't function as a pilot anymore or whatever. But that's the idea, is he's actually going to the professionals with the hypnotic specialist, which in this universe, remember, hypnotism is much, much more refined and acceptable. And they've been able to push it beyond what our current levels are. So in this universe, hypnotism is actual science. Like, hypnotism and suggestions can work. Like, we have data that supports it, but oftentimes it's limited by the susceptibility and the belief of the individual who's receiving it. So it can be a useful treatment, but it's not recognized because it's not a universal treatment. However, they've developed suggestion techniques, usually involving things like pheromones and visuals, and, like, essentially they've learned how to program the brain. And so they've used this to help soldiers to overcome fear and, like, overwhelming, like, degrading, debilitating emotions. And so he's asking the medical officers to use it to unlock his memories. So we're likely going to get the real story of what happened. And I imagine it's going to be just a grand old time. So buckle up, get your feels ready, and let's see how this all plays out. Because I don't imagine this is going to be an entirely comfortable trip. So let's do it. So very well, it seems you've given this a lot of thought.
ご無理を言ってすみません。でも、絶対に必要なことだと思うんです。
それは理解しましたよ。ですが、一つだけ言っておきます。
Yeah.
治療を受けたからといっても、必ずしも全部思い出せるわけではない。もともと人間の記憶などあやふやなものだ。
I think that makes sense. The real danger, the thing that we actually see in actual hypnotism cases and using, like, this accessing of the subconscious is the fact that it makes your recollections in general are malleable. So, like, if you, like, our brain simplifies memories. I've talked about this before, but just a brief reiteration, just because it's really important for this episode. Our brain takes in information. We have, like, a short-term memory and long-term memory. Short-term memory, everything's fairly crystallized into what it is. And then when we go to store it in long-term memory, our brain has to be efficient. Remember, our brain operates off of an electrical current that's less wattage than a typical light bulb, but it runs our entire, like, our body, our memories, everything. It never can shut off, and it never can, there's no backup storage or anything. It's all biological. So it has to come up with ways to, I guess, I don't want to say shortcut, but it has to be efficient, because it only has so much material to work with. And for us, especially as humans, we're so complicated when it comes to our cranial capacity. Our brains have had to become adapted over time to become hyper efficient. How has it achieved this efficiency? Well, associations. When things are similar enough, they categorize them together and they store them in the same spot, for instance. So in your mind, when you remember a blue car, like a blue Volkswagen Beetle, you know, slug bug, all that stuff, you see the car. And you're like, okay, this car, and you associate it with an owner, maybe your sister owns a Volkswagen Blue Beetle, say that. So in your brain, you store that into long-term memory, because she brought the car home. So in the long-term memory, your hippocampus then helps separate your memory of your sister's blue Volkswagen Beetle, and it fragments it into various pieces. Your sister, it associates that with all of her memories, and it says, okay, we're going to file this event with your sister, and it kind of tags it in a way and sends it to that part of your brain where it stores memories about your sister. And then it takes the color blue and it says, okay, this will be stored with other things, and it tags it saying this is blue, and it stores that information with everything else that you've remembered that is blue. So you're not remembering each individual thing as a color. Your brain categorizes something that's of a specific color with like a part of your brain that recognizes the color blue, and that's how it files it, and it kind of tags it in a way for recollection, in a pattern that it can remember. And then Volkswagen Beetle for the car, so it stores like that information of like other cars and similar types of cars together. So it takes that memory and breaks it into those little pieces and sends it out. And then it kind of makes almost like a mental biological record of those compiled things. So like sister, Volkswagen, blue, and then maybe like the time of the year it happened, and a specific date possibly. All these things, like it takes all those bits of information and it kind of spreads them out and sticks them in the various parts of your memory where they share commonality. So you can already see that long-term memory is a fragmented memory. And then when you try and remember something, your hippocampus kind of pulls back all those little bits and pieces and kind of recompiles them in your short-term memory. So it goes into your short-term memory and it puts it all back together and it reconstructs it. And now that's interesting because short-term memory is very interesting because it's very temporary. So what can actually happen is if you try and remember something and it starts to compile things in short-term memory and something intervenes in that process, either introducing a certain type of interruptive stimuli, or even like someone gives you suggestions, like things like hands you pictures of maybe your sister standing next to a blue like Honda car. So if you were handed a picture of a blue Honda car and your sister standing next to it, and you're trying to recall her standing next to a blue Volkswagen Beetle, the processing of the short-term memory that you're taking in with a picture with your memory compiling can end up overriding each other. Because remember, short-term memory is very limited and it's very temporary. So what can happen is you can accidentally override your memory, and then when you go back to put it into long-term storage, instead of fragmenting it into sister, Volkswagen Beetle, and blue, it breaks it down into sister, Honda, and blue. And then you've just reconstructed your own memory, but you feel like it's the memory that you originally had. This is an actual event that can occur. Like, I've obviously simplified it, and it's a little... it's more complicated, and like it's not that so easy for that to happen, but these types of things can happen. In fact, there's a lot of things that you might think are memories, stories about your childhood that aren't actually memories. They're just stories that you've heard repeatedly by your parents and family that eventually you've coalesced by taking fragments of other things you are familiar with and have memories of, and you've ended up reconstructing a story you've heard multiple times into what you think is a memory based on what they've said. And this is something that we've been able to find evidence of, that people can be convinced that they have a memory of something that they've never actually been able to witness. And because they hear a story a lot, they can actually find out that they feel like they have a memory of an event that then they find out and get proof never actually happened. So your memory and brain are telling you something happened because you're so familiar with the story, you've heard it before, and you've actually constructed a false narrative based on flagging that you've accidentally conglomerated. And then you have physical evidence that says, no, that never happened. And that makes a conflict. And that's the problem with hypnotism. Why did I go on this huge tangent? Currently, hypnotism gets you into a relaxed state. It gets you into a susceptible and suggestive state where you're more likely to accept things as they are rather than challenge them. And then by prodding and instigating and intrusively suggesting stories, ideas, and concepts, they can inadvertently help you create a fabricated memory, usually based on a real memory, but then you can add to it and restore it, and then your brain starts to think that it is a memory that's all tied together and starts associating new ideas and new events into an old event, and you start believing it's real. So the danger of hypnotism that we understand is that it is entirely possible to create new feelings and memories and experiences that are not valid at all, or are hyper-inflated, so they're not representative of what really happened. This is actively what they do in the Muv-Luv universe, because they have to try and think of ways to be able to interrupt corrosive, dangerous, and inhibitive chains of thought and overwrite them with a pre-built response. They effectively are training your subconscious and your instincts so that if they trigger it, it overrides your prefrontal cortex, activates the lizard brain to override your gridlock situation. It's very crazy, but it's based in real science and real things we understand and taken to an extreme. Now, because they've understand it so much, they obviously can push it back to boundaries we currently can't and would be unethical to try. But in these times, it makes sense. Anyway, I apologize for that long rant. I haven't done a rant like that in a while talking about science and stuff, but I think it's really relevant to this case. So let's jump in and see what else happens. That's why he's saying it's not perfect, because he's saying the brain is not infallible at all. In fact, they kind of rely on that to make this work.
構いません。今より少しでも多く思い出せれば。
Pardon me. Got a cold.
まあ、強化もクソも何もあった話ではないが、一応本来ならば正式な手続きがなければ受けられない治療だということは理解してください。
Well, there's a red flag.
ありがとうございます。
いやー、実は最近注意のような患者が増えてきているんですよ。
There are more patients like me.
患者というと語弊があるかな。記憶を暗示で鮮明にしてほしいってね。医者としては勧められるものではないんだがね。家族や故郷のことをもっと鮮明に覚えておきたいとね。断りにくい話だ。
I wonder if it's just the collective trauma of like the Babylon incident. Like you think this war with Beta has been bad? Babylon was insane.
そうなんですか。
最も貴重な薬品だからね。簡単には治療できる話ではないんだが、我々は日々の忙しさにかまけて忘れていたことと向き合う時が来ているのかもしれないな。
Right.
はい。俺もそう。
では、そちらのソファに寝転がって楽にしてくれ。
Here we go. Buckle up, everyone. It's a full-on animation.
日本に帰りたい。帰らなきゃいけないんだ。私の家族が待ってるんだ。
Right.
私が面倒見ないとダメなんだよ。弟、まだ小さいし、母さんの体調も良くないから。
帰れるさ。ほら、食えよ。食って体力つけないとさ。
Even then, he was pushing.
本当に帰れると思う？
ああ、もちろん。一緒に帰るって言っただろ。今日のは塩で味付けてるからいけるぜ。早く食っちゃえよ。
Yeah, yeah.
どうした？
食べたくない。
目をつむって一気に飲み込んじゃえよ。我慢しろよ。ほら、水だ。
Not them eating the bugs, I'm guessing.
よし、いい子だ。
バカ。
食う気力があるんだから国にも帰れるさ。俺帰国したら絶対に刺身食うぜ。大トロな。口の中で脂が溶けてくやつな。
Oh man, he's right. Fatty tuna is the bomb. It's so freaking good. It doesn't even taste like fish, honestly. It's like something else.
元気だね、あんた。
今度川にぶち当たったら釣りしようぜ。針と糸は確保してあるんだ。アサギ？
私さ、あんたを殺しちゃうかもしんないよ。
Why? What?
何言ってんだよ。そんなことするわけねえだろ。
だから人を殺してでも生きたいと思ってる自分がいるんだよ。
Interesting.
襲ってくる敵だけじゃない。多分 私はもう少ししたらあんたたちを殺そうとすると思う。
I wonder how premeditative and aware madness can be. Most of the time we associate madness with an inability to be reasonable. But like, is it possible to know when you are on the track of snapping? Like, I know sometimes people delay getting help. There can be stigmas, there can be a type of pride that makes you not want to, like, admit that you might have a weakness. But do people see it coming before the day? And like, any kind of madness or mental, like, complexity, like, I mean, a good example might be, from what I understand, of suicidal thoughts. A lot of times I think people, they know when it's becoming a danger to them, usually. When those intrusive thoughts are becoming more prevalent, more common, more recognizable. They can, because like usually there's a window where people have like enough know-how and enough like self-awareness to reach out for help. But it's tough because once you're getting into that mental state, you're wanting to find help often is also being slowly eroded away. And so like that's why I think it's good that we have so much awareness and like understand like having like helplines available, because like we might not have great windows of time that she's in right now. She's effectively asking for help because she's saying, look, my thoughts and the way I'm approaching things and the way I'm thinking, it's gonna lead me down this path eventually. She's saying, I feel like I'm close. So she's in the stage where she's like, I can ask for help now because I might not be able to in the near future.
何もかも羨ましくてしょうがなくなる時があるんだ。なんでこいつは私の食い物を食ってるんだ。なんで私の毛布を使ってるんだって。
Oh gosh. Oh gosh. No, this is getting very serious.
我に返って恐ろしくなる。私最悪の人間じゃないかって。
What do you even do?
周期がだんだん短くなって、私はあんたたちを。
What do you do? Like, you're in the middle of nowhere. You are trying to get to help. But you know we're close to help. You can't just, like, preemptively take her out unless you had to, right? But, like, could you even do that? Like, if you're in sound mind and they're not, like, they would have to take that first step in order for you to intervene. And even then, your own love and caring for an individual might stop you, especially because apparently, like, they're dating. They're, like, in a relationship. Could you imagine your significant other saying, I'm getting so angry at you, I think about killing you. Like, I think about it. It's not just a passively crossing my mind type of thing. It's like an active, persistent thought. And I'm terrified I'm gonna do it. Like, what do you do?
お前はそんなことしねえよ。俺がよく知ってる。
嘘だね。あんたと仙道が交代で眠るのは私の監視のためだろう。
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
そんなんじゃねえよ。
私が襲ってくるかもしれないと思ってるから。でもそれ間違ってないよ。
Even if she's kind of right though, like, she's probably taking it to the way further than she needs to.
違うって言ってんだろ。
私はベータと同じになるんだ。あれだけベータを殺してきた私があいつらと同じに。
Oh my gosh.
だからベータと同じになる前に殺してくれ。
わかったよ。お前の鼻がウォーリアー級くらいまで伸びたら殺してやんよ。
Hibiki, I know what you're trying to do and it's really good, but oh my gosh, man, how are you keeping your cool? I'd be freaking out.
それでいいだろ。
少し寝るよ。
ああ、おやすみ。連れて帰るさ。絶対に。
He made a promise that he couldn't keep. Is that what broke him?
やめてください。
Uh-oh. Oh no.
私を殺すつもりなんだろ。
Oh no.
来ないでください。死ね。
Fetch.
立浪注意。
Oh no, she really did lose it.
安心しな。ちゃんと殺してあげるよ。あんただってこんなところにいたくないだろう。大丈夫。みんなで行けば怖くない。怖くないよ。浅木少尉、落ち着いてください。お願い、正気に戻って。
Please, please.
正気？私は正気だよ。あんたたちがおかしいんだ。
Crap. Yeah, I mean, I think that's she was right, that tipping point.
安心しな。私もすぐ行くからね。約束だもんな。あんたと一緒に帰るって。浅木少尉、動かないでください。頭を狙っていますよ。撃てよ。撃ちなよ。撃てんのか、あんたに。私はね、こいつと一緒に行くよ。本当に撃ちますよ。あんたの銃には一発しか弾は残ってない。あんた死ねなくなるよ。
Dang.
こいつはね、私と死んだ方が幸せなのさ。動かないで。
詐欺。
離せ。私に逆らうのが悪いんだよ。
Fetch. I'll fetch. I'll fetch.
あんたも私が殺してやるよ。
Oh man.
動くな。
There we go. Holy freaking crap.
動かないでくれ。ナイフを置いてこっちに来るんだ。早く。やめろ。
I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. Oh gosh. Yeah, it was the aftermath of what he did.
More 少し歩けば次の街が見えてくるはずです。頑張りましょう。
Could you imagine after all that, they start trekking and what do they find? The further they go, salt, death fields.
厳しくなったら言ってください。予備の水持ってますから。
置いていけよ。俺は仲間殺しなんだぜ。
That's the sad thing is you can tell he's sane because he thinks that. Imagine. He had to. He had no choice, but how can you tell yourself that when you still have a conscience, when you cared about the person, you loved the person, and you had to effectively put them down like a rabid animal? It's like the old Yeller paradox on steroids. You're like, in that moment you had no choice, but can you ever actually truly believe that despite all the evidence?
諦めませんから。絶対に諦めません。
Why? I'm a burden? It'd be easier for her to survive if she left me behind. Just let it end. I've suffered enough. All our squad mates are dead. The commander killed himself, and I lost her. Her? Who's her? Can't remember. Something happened, but what? Yeah, his brain locked it down because he was going to just... It's a self-defense mechanism. It actually is a very real thing, too. There's a lot of, like I was talking about, like fragmented memories. Suppression of memories is real. It's tough because when you try and bring those out, you can accidentally create new memories, but if you do it properly, it does, and we have been able to unlock suppressed memories of trauma that our brains lock away. It's interesting because our brains don't destroy it, usually. Like, actively destroying itself is not something the brain does. But it can isolate memories. It can lock them down and keep them from recollection, and kind of, it has like a warning, probably a chemical of some kind we might not understand yet. Maybe it's similar to how we use like an artificial anesthetic to make us like lose memories. Because like, you think for a second, every time you're put to sleep when you have a surgery, unless you're having a really major surgery where you have to lay perfectly still, most of the time you're actually conscious during surgery. The anesthetic just simply suppresses your pain and your emotional response and your memory. So like, there are a lot of times you can have a surgery where they'll actually like be like working on someone, like have them open, and they'll actually ask the patient to like shift over or move, and they can because they're awake. You're awake. You just have no like real, like you're bypassing your memory and not even making it a part of your recollection at all, which is kind of crazy to think about, right? They don't really tell you about that because they don't want to freak you out, but it's very much a real thing. And so you get this whole idea where your brain can kind of do it on its own. It can bypass and kind of store it, but it doesn't permanently delete it. It just kind of makes it inaccessible to save yourself, to keep yourself from having a break, because survival... Like, there's a point where, like, your brain even admits that, like, this only will harm us. But it doesn't completely remove it, and I wonder why. I've always wondered why. Because it happens.
今日中にあと10キロ歩きますよ。
I think 10 kilometers a day isn't bad. I don't understand. Whatever. I need to die. It's only the way to atone for my sins.
注意、大丈夫ですか？立ってください。注意。立ってください。注意、立つんです。
I still think Yuzuka is the best girl so far. A lot of you are very much Ellen fans, I know, but I really love just Yuzuka as a character. But I have to be honest at this point, I don't really think Hibiki and Yuzuka would make a good pair. I feel like there's a little too much trauma between them. Does that make sense? Like, I think she is like one of the like I think they make a fantastic couple. But because of this, I feel like it would be unhealthy for them to stay around each other all the time. Maybe in a squad. But romantically, I don't know. I feel like there'd be so much baggage that came with that. It wouldn't be good. Of course, you can't really dictate love and emotional relationships on that, but am I the only one about thinks that? That like while they're like super good for each other, that they would be terrible romantically. I think Yuzuka's the best, but I don't know if she's the best for him.
もういい。捨てていけ。
This is as far as I want to go.
ダメです、注意。立つんです。
Go on without me.
立ってください。あなたはまだ立てます。
Sent to fight in Europe, but here I am dying in the mountains of North America. Almost feels like God is trying to tell me something. Piece of crap wasn't content to just kill me. No. Bottle had to destroy the whole world. And for what? Whatever. Don't mind me. Just trying to shrivel up and die over here. Well, that's a mood. Oh no. Yuzuka.
ダメですね。私は肝心なところでは
No,
いつも
Yuzuka.
何もできない。
That's not true.
周囲に恩返しができればって思ってたのにできなかった。
Is it what he did for her? Killed the person he loved to save her?
できなかった。
I know. I feel you, Yuzuka. I feel you.
ゆずか。
立ってください。そしていつもみたいに先に行ってください。私は後から追いつきますから。そうだ、注意が動けないっていうのなら食べてくれてもいいんですよ。
What? What are you talking about?
ガリガリになっちゃったから
Are you
美味
serious?
しくないかもしれないけど、
No. You crazy.
それで注意が生き延びることができるのならお願いだから、お願いだから、あなたを進んでください。
Why would you do that?
もういいだろう。ここでこのまま二人で死んじまってもいいじゃないか。
So much suffering. I'm sure God would be forgiving. Our final moments don't need to be spent alone.
ダメですよ。
なんでだよ。もういいじゃないか。
あなたは私の希望ですから。あなたはいつも私の前を歩いてくれていました。何も知らん知らずで臆病者だった私にいろいろなことを教えてくれました。あなたにはわからないかもしれないですが、それは私にとってはとても大切なことで、だからあなたには生きていてほしいんです。たとえ神様と喧嘩することになったとしても、悪魔に魂を売ることになったとしても、注意には生きていてほしいんです。最後まで注意を支えることができた。それが私に残された最後の誇りです。
That's what sucks. I think she genuinely 100% loves him. Loves the crap out of him. Listen to that. She loves him to pieces. And I still don't know if it would be the right thing. Bull crap.
言ってください。立浪注意。
He's like, screw it. I have to carry it.
捨てていっていいんですよ。
ふざけんな。
注意。
ふざけんな。立てよ、ユズカ。お前がここまで連れてきたんだろ。さっさと立ち上がれ。こんなところで立ち止まってる場合じゃねえ。
Hibiki, you better remember this. That yeah, you had given up, but you stopped and you got back on your feet again. That's a lot. That shows a lot about who you are.
津波注意。
Yo,
ふざけんじゃねえ。こんなところで終わってたまるか。
she held on till she couldn't do it anymore, and then he picked her up.
こんなところで終われるかよ。
They are a really good team.
注意。
ふざけんな。ふざけんじゃねえぞ。ふざけん。
I can't go on. No. He's just crawling now. I won't give up. Like hell. If I can't walk, then I'll just crawl. Keep crawling. Can't feel my fingers anymore.
ごめんな。ユズカ。ここで助けが来るのを待とう。手は尽くした。あとは天にかけるのみだ。付き合わせてごめんな。腹減ったな。
That sound.
F 中古アメリカ軍
Mott.
のやろ。あれは
生きろよ。
まだ
So close. He like lived off hope alone. He actually managed to get found. That's insane.
大丈夫ですかね、注意。
Oh, right. I went to see the doctor to get my head sorted out.
ここがどこだかわかりますか？
ああ、大丈夫です。ちゃんと認識できています。
It was me. It was me all along. I'm the one who shot Asaki. I killed her in self-defense. The two of us wanted to go back home so badly, but I took that away from her. Yuzuka had a point. She had some things are best left forgotten. I should have listened.
ありがとうございます。
つきものが落ちたような顔をしていますね。
Yeah.
ああ、そうですか。そうでしょうね。ありがとうございました。
So this one day. I'm a murderer. That's what my subconscious sealed off my memories. Asagi's blood is in my hands. The friend who meant so much to Yuzuka.
お役に立てれば幸いです。注意。一つだけいいですか。
What?
人間は過去にとらわれて苦しむこともありますが、覚えていてください。過去を乗り越えたからこそ、我々は今を生きているのです。
I like that. The past is prologue. Past is prologue. Ooh, that's really cool. Dang. That actually, like, not even, like, memeing here. That might be a candidate for a tombstone for me. Not that I plan to have a tombstone. Like, I think at best I want a memorial. I don't really think a whole burying my body in a plot of land and letting it just sit there with a big headstone is a great idea. I like the idea of leaving some kind of memorial, maybe for family in future, you know, descendants and all that stuff, because it's cool to be able to visit a graveyard for the memories that it represents, but I don't see the point in having, like, the body and the casket and stuff. But maybe, like, I don't know. It kind of is cheesy, but I love the whole idea of, something like a bench in a beautiful park that, like, has just a little plaque saying, like, in honor of, you know, that kind of thing. Something that's, like, serviceable, that helps the community even for a little while, even if it gets torn down. The past is prologue. That's a genuinely good candidate, though, for a grave plot of whatever kind.
過去に潰される必要はない。後悔や懺悔するべきことがあるなら、それは未来で返していけばいいだけのこと。
Wow. It's like he knows. I wonder if he heard, like, maybe he was talking during the process.
いい言葉ですね。ありがとうございました。
I wanted to regain my memory so I could move forward, and that's exactly what I intend to do. Give Yuzuka a hug, dang it!
よう、心配かけたな。
大丈夫なの？
Give Yuzuka a hug!
ああ、全部思い出したよ。
Everything.
俺のしてしまったことも、辛かった旅の記憶も全部思い出せたんだ。
I remember my crime and the reality of this ruined world.
そうならシャキッとしなさいな。ゆずかに言わなきゃいけないこととかあるんでしょ？
おう。
Right, that's the first thing I should do. First chapter of the rest of my life.
仙道少尉、貴様に感謝する。俺はお前のおかげで生き残れた。
注意。
本当に厳しい旅だった。俺だけだったら絶対に踏破できなかったと思う。
Hunted down by enemy soldiers, without a speck of food, with no hope in sight. To top it all off, we almost were skinned by some insane cannibals right at the end. With our squad mates dropping like flies, I wonder how many times I thought I'd be better to give up. If I didn't, it was because Yuzuka was there for me, every step of the way, and I repaid her kindness by shooting her best friend.
浅木のこと、すまなかったな。辛い思いをさせた。お前だけに背負わせてしまっていたな。
思い出したのですか？
Oh yeah.
あいつの精神が壊れちまったことも、俺があいつを撃ったことも、全部思い出した。
Yeah. Surprised you said it in front of them, but it makes sense.
浅木少尉を注意が。
この件については軍に報告するよ。真実は明らかにしなければならないだろうしな。
Did he misremember it? Did he? What if? I owe it to her.
すまなかった。本当に感謝している。
The lights of Seattle. These lights brought me back to the land of the living. This fervent desire to protect what they stand for granted me another shot at life. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. Yuzuka was speechless after I came clean. How long had she been dealing with this alone? I have to help her, just like she helped me. And there's something else I had to do.
それで今さらどうしろというのだ。現地に行って調査でもしろというのか。
それが最善かと考えます。どのような状況であれ、仲間を撃った罪は消えません。正当防衛だとは思いますが、それを判断するのは私であってはいけないと考えます。
すまんが貴様の自己満足に付き合っている時間はない。それとも英雄の座から降りたくなったのか。
いえ、そういうことでは。
ならば口を慎め。このことについては二度と口外するな。
Yeah, there's really not a point, and they kind of need him. But I still think it's healthy that he at least told her.
現場から外してもらいたいなら直接言え。真偽の定かでない話など今はどうでもいい。
職務に邁進いたします。
I'll accept any punishment I get. I don't care if it derails my life. I have to atone for my sin before moving on with my life. That's what I thought, at least. Atonement was supposed to mark the beginning of a new life, but now I'll need to find another way to make a fresh start. All that stuff happened in the middle of an active battlefield. There ain't a shred of evidence that would be admissible in court. Hell, even if my case got a hearing, hearing what happened is pretty much a textbook plank of Carnades scenario. Okay, I need to know what that is. I've never heard that phrase before, and it's time to learn. In ethics, the plank of Carnades is a thought experiment first proposed by the academic skeptic philosopher Cardenas of Creon. It explores the concept of self-defense in relation to murder. In the thought experiment, okay, so you got so in the thought experiment, there are two shipwrecked sailors, A and B. They both see a plank that can only support one of them, and both of them swim toward it. Sailor A gets to the plank first. Sailor B, who is going to drown, pushes A off and away from the plank, and thus approximately causes A to drown. Sailor B gets on the plank and is later saved by a rescue team. The thought experiment poses the question of whether Sailor B can be tried for murder, because if B had to kill A in order to live, then it would arguably be in self-defense. Okay. So it's like the argument of the self-defense case, if it's like a situation of them or me, but like it's a lot murkier, that's for sure. There's a good chance the judge would rule that I acted in legitimate self-defense. I would walk away from everything scot-free. I could never accept that. I deserve to be punished. Atonement is still very much in the cards for me, but I'm gonna have to go about it differently. I'll put my life on the line for the sake of everyone else. That's how I'll make it up to Asagi and the commander. But you better not be seeking death, young man. You don't do that.
それでいい。不要な時間を取らせるな。その程度のことは自分で解決しろ。
She's right. I've been leaning on others far too long. I got no time to look back. The only thing I can do is keep moving forward. Dang. I think I'm finally starting to figure out what makes Captain Komaki tick. She's a bit ham-fisted when it comes to dealing with people, or maybe I'm just too dense to understand her. Whichever it is, she may be more similar to Major Jinguji than I first thought.
苦悩のふるさと捨てがたく、安らぎの浄土は恋しからず候。
それは
苦悩の多いこの世界こそ捨てがたいふるさとであり、安らぎを得られるはずの極楽浄土を恋しく思うことはできない。
Right.
結局、私たちはこの世界で生きるしかないんだ。自分たちの手で作り上げるこの世界こそ捨てがたいふるさとになる。
Yeah, she's saying, like, don't try to forget or suppress the past. Move forward.
誰もがお前と同じような経験をしている。私だって一人でも多くの人間を救いたかったが、できなかった。
Yeah, tell me about it. That's like Takaru to a T.
自分が日本に残り、その代わりに一人でも多くの人を船に乗せるべきだったかもしれないと悩んだこともある。だが、私は船に乗ってしまった。生き残ってしまった。生き残った者には責任がある。だから、私はその分、生きて多くの人間に奉仕しなければならない。
If the message of alternative was to, like, discover why to fight and what's worth, what makes moving forward worth it, the theme of the day after is honoring the sacrifices of others by pressing on. Like, it's very similar in a theme, but very different. Whereas Alternative was about looking inwardly and truly discovering something that's worth fighting with everything you have. Not just kind of fighting to make it work. Like, genuinely giving your all and making the absolute best effort to make things work. This is about never forgetting the past, but never letting it dictate your future either. That's what this whole thing has been about.
そうですね。
公務員だしな。
パブリックサーバントですからね。
そういうことだ。この世に生きている限り全力を尽くせ。それが死者に対する手向けであり礼儀だ。その行いの根底にあるものが誠実である限り、真実はいつかつまびらかになる。
はい。肝に銘じます。
Good, good. In the end, I survived and came back to these lights.
帰ってきたんだ。俺は。
Came back to human civilization.
ごめんな。約束破っちまった。
Let it out, man. Let it out. And right on cue.
よ、お前らも来たのか。
来たのかじゃなくて、響を探してたのよ。ほら、ゆずか。
どうしたんだ？
さっきまで PX で一緒に食事をとってたんですけどね。ほら、前に出てってば。
Where's Miono going?
ずっと呆然としてるから、荒療治しようかと思って。
I see. Oh, there she goes.
ゆずちゃんのお尻、柔らか
Aw, that's cute.
前に出てきたわね。
Yep, there she is.
前に出てきたの。よ。
What's up?
お疲れ様です。ようやく観念したわね。さあ、しずく、帰りましょう。
Yeah, they need this.
牛の情けです。
まあいいから。よくわかんねえけどいろよ、みんな。
色とおっしゃるならおりますが、目の前でキャッキャウフフを見せつけられても。あ、見られるの趣味でしたっけ？
あ
のな、わけわかんねえこと言ってんじゃねえよ。ちょうどみんなに言っておきたいことがあったんだよ。
Hmm.
言いたいことですか？
ああ、話してもいいよな。
お任せします。
Okay then.
みんなに隠し事はしたくない。俺という人間がどういうやつかわからないと、いざという時に従えないと思うんだ。
They deserve to know the crime, the sin that made me and Yuzuka must live with.
察しているとは思うが、俺とユズカは大陸横断の過程でひどい経験を
It
した。
was pretty crazy.
飢えと混乱と絶望と。
Never going through that again. No way in hell.
ねえ、それ長い話？
What?
はい？
前置きが長いですよ。
なぬ？
You make it so light of this.
なんかさ、その話つまんなそうなのよね。
Oh, they're being tactfully saying, don't bother.
なんだか眠くなってきました。
You guys are you're full of so much bull crap, but I love it.
な、俺は真面目な話を
My
するつ
cat
も
has
りなんだ
decided
ぞ。
to ascend onto the table, so you might see an intruder here in a second.
真面目な話は聞くつもりがないって言ってんのよ。誰にも言いたくないような経験をしたのはみんな一緒でしょ？
What are you doing, kitty?
いや、それはお前は俺に言ってくれたじゃないか。
あれは嘘よ。
Wait, what?
は？
失礼。嘘ではないですけど、かなり脚色が入ってるわよ。
え？
What the heck?
過去を 振り返るのも大事だと思いますが、私は前を向いて生きていきたいです。
She's right.
見ようの。
私決めたんです。今を大事に生きることが一番大切だから、過ぎたことにこだわってもしょうがない。いや、
Oh, sorry, I interrupted you.
そっか。
There's no need to force myself to confess.
雫は偉いわね。
You guys are idiots, but I love you for it.
一本取られましたね。
そうだな。
私たち
Yeah, we are.
生きてるよ。
We gotta make that count. We have to make it. We have to make that worth something.
生きてるわよ。生きてます。
We're alive. All of us. We're alive. The world inches closer to destruction, but we're still breathing. We can't let nostalgia for days long gone lead us astray. We can't surrender in the face of hardship. No, we must forge ahead. Commander Teramoto, Asagi, everyone, I swear to you, right here and now, that your sacrifices won't go to waste. I feel like we're close to the end here. Like, it feels like we're close to the end of this, but I don't think we are. Like, it just feels like an ending. Oh, jeez. Okay. Whew, I was scared for a second. Oh, Yuzuka. You gonna be okay? Yeah, she's still my favorite.
これでいいのかもしれない。
I hope so too. December 22nd, 2005. Yeah, that was an end of a part. There's the tail. I don't know if you saw it in the camera. Stop it, kitty. Gosh darn it, you suck.
それでは日米両国の親善と発展を願い、乾杯。
Kampai. We're gonna end here. Get the tail out of here. What are you doing? Come on. Here, come on. Ow, 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 ow. Don't claw me. Okay. We're gonna say hi. We're gonna say hi real quick, kitty puss. Since you decided to intrude. Hello. He's lost weight since the last time he's been on camera, I think. Say hello. This is Prince, by the way. Alright. Down you go. I'm gonna wrap this up here because we're gonna end here for today. That was a lot. I even got the manly tears. They got coming. It means it's a good episode, right? You love it. You eat it up when I get to those manly tears, and that was definitely one of them. Fetch, man, that was intense. I knew that was coming though, so I'm glad. I hope you don't mind the ranting I did, but this might be one of the most impactful episodes we've had so far of this series. I think the only other one would be the finale of the of session 0, like the episode 0 with like the fall of the JFK. But yeah, now to move forward, I'm guessing it's gonna have to do with the plant, because I'm guessing with this feast here that we're seeing, maybe the plant is actually functional now, and that means we're gonna be launching into the likely incursion of Canada, which is something you never think you're gonna end up saying, but that's the way it is. So hope you guys enjoyed yourselves. Hope you guys are happy to have been able to share this journey with me and Hibiki. I'd love to know if you had any thoughts or anything you wanted to share about this episode that you saw. Why you still think Ellen's best girl, because like I said, I think Yuzuka's best girl. But I don't know if she's best girl for Hibiki. Yuzuka's freaking awesome. She's great. She's cute. She's got it all. But don't know if she's great for Hibiki. It's very similar to how I see with Maya and Takaru. Like, Maya, best girl. And Yui, best girls. Both of them. They're fantastic. But I do think that Sumika is best for Takaru. As the character, Takaru and Sumika, it really just makes more sense for them. I feel like they have better chemistry. And I think Hibiki, if I had to pick between the three, so far it's looking like he and Ellen would actually be the better pairing. But at the same time, I'm still not convinced of that. I think they're in a world where relationships kind of need to be side-tabled right now, so we'll see. We'll get there when we get there anyway. I hope you guys are having a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for your support, being willing to watch this video with me and just kind of share the journey, but also especially to the patrons. Thank you so much for you guys sharing their love and support and helping make this channel more, help it grow, help make it so I can do more with the channel, that I can actually be making content more often. Like, it really is a huge help for each and every one of you to be here. So thank you for each and every one of your participations in that. If you ever want to support, the Patreon link is in the description down below. I really don't want to ask for much in any case, and I do want to eventually make this something that can become more stable and something I can continue to pour good resources into. So if you want to see the channel continue to flourish, that's an option if it's within your means. But please never do it if it's not in your means. Like, I am quite content to just make content and share it. Like, that is what I started doing, and it's what I'm going to continue to do regardless. But, you know, dreams are dreams, right? Anyway, thank you guys so much for being here today. Thank you so much for joining me on the channel. And until the next video, watching me up, see me next. I'll see you there.